What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Watch Shop, and today we have new Rolexes! Yeah! Is that exciting? That's too much, right? Probably too much. Boom, Watch fam. All right, I'm very excited. This is like Christmas, and it's my birth month. This is a great day. I am wearing a Rolex, very apropos for today. Mid 70s Rolex Datejust, reference 1601. This is actually my dad's watch. I wear it more than he does, and he wears my watches more than I do. We have a weird relationship like that, but it's exciting. So let's get into it. Where do I start? Bezel World is historically when Rolex releases new watches. An international watch fair held in Switzerland in Basel. They release, they announce, and the watches don't hit the actual market, hit the boutiques for months, 6 months, maybe more. I've always said this is a bad way to do business. Makes no sense to me. Why would you get everyone excited and then not allow them to actually own it for 6 months? What does that do? Capitalize on excitement, right? Obviously, companies like Rolex are not so pressured into capitalizing on excitement because brands like Rolex, the excitement is always there. It doesn't fade. But as a general rule, that strategy always sucked. That being said, it's all changed, right? COVID-19 and the effects on travel and gatherings completely changed this strategy. We saw just last month that Tudor, which is a Rolex subsidiary, started a new launch plan where really all of a sudden, boom, here's a new watch. It's announced, and today it's in the boutique. Ingenious, right? We actually got our hands-on opportunity with that watch, which was the Black Bay 58 in blue. Great watch. We did a whole review on it thanks to our friends over at London Jewelers. I like that watch. Very cool stuff. But what excited me much more was the launch strategy, which Rolex has now employed in their own, systems. And this release, which just happened on Monday, was, in my opinion, extremely successful. So, what did Rolex release? Maybe now more than ever, the world, waits with bated breath for all of the, new Rolex novelties. And honestly, I think they did a pretty good job. And I'm pretty cynical. I'm pretty pessimistic and critical in general, but I've got to give it to them. There's some cool stuff. The headliner, which is, to me, in my opinion, like the total dud. The way the watches were announced via the most, major blogs was just the regular black no-date Submariner in size 41 millimeters as opposed to the traditional 40 with a different case shape. Of course, still the classic Oyster, very true, but they slimmed it out a little bit. So while the size is 1 millimeter larger, the case is probably very comparable. I haven't gone hands-on with this watch yet. I look forward to doing that. But I don't have a problem with a 41 millimeter Submariner. It's certainly, I would suspect it's too large for me because, frankly, the 40 millimeter sub with the super case was a little bit too large for me. But I loved the way that it looked on other people. I think that the ceramic subs have been some of the best subs since they were introduced back in the mid 2000s. So now, more important maybe than the size and proportions, the thinness, again, very similar but subtly different, is the color schemes, I think. So of course we have the classic black sub date and no date. Then we see the reintroduction of the quote-unquote Kermit watch, which was released for the Submariner's 50th anniversary celebration initially, but with an aluminum bezel and the old case. But now we see it larger and in ceramic. I think it's quite attractive. Of course, everyone has, nicknames for everything already, so this is being dubbed the Starbucks sub. Then we've got this Submariner, which people definitely expected. Blue ceramic bezel Submariner. Some people expected there would be blue bezel, blue dial, like the Smurf, and the watch would be done in steel, but instead they kept it white gold and they kept, the blue Submariner precious. I like this watch. I don't think I like it better than the Smurf. I honestly think the Smurf is a fantastic Submariner, but I guess updates are necessary sometimes. Before we get into the next release here, I have some pretty big news. It was all Anna's idea, actually, and Theo and Harris will be giving away a Rolex at 100,000 subscribers. Right now we're at 86,000, so 14,000 more to go. We can get that really in no time. I know a lot of you guys that are watching aren't subscribed. So many people that tune in that aren't subscribed. It's so weird looking at the analytics. But the truth is, we are giving away this Rolex, and we want you to win it. So all you have to do is subscribe to our channel at Theo and Harris and sign up in the link down below, and we'll be doing a random drawing as soon as we hit 100,000 subs. Maybe I'll open up a nice bottle of champagne, and maybe I'll buy a Rolex for myself to make myself feel a little bit better that I just gave away a goddamn Rolex. So anyway, let's get into the next thing, which is the Skydweller. In the Skydweller range, Rolex released specifically and exclusively the precious metal Skydwellers on Oysterflex straps. I adore these straps. I think they're incredibly comfortable. They're very attractive. This is not the future of Rolex, but the Oysterflex will continue to expand throughout the Rolex catalog. We will absolutely be seeing these bracelets on the Submariner at some point. We'll see them throughout the collection. Fan favorite, no doubt. It is interesting, though, to be pairing with a Skydweller. The Skydweller, which was originally pitched as, basically on par with the Day-Date in its luxury, right? This hunk of gold, and then they released it in steel, and now on the precious end on a rubber strap. So it's funny how the identity of the Skydweller has really shifted. It's gone from strictly like a baller watch that you find on stage at a rap concert, to wow, that was my grandfather was like, yeah, he's right, it's a rap concert, to now more casual but still rich. Listen, casual's in. The new mainstream look for rich is very casual. People aren't really wearing cashmere V-necks as much as they are wearing cashmere jogging pants now. It's like, it's nuts. Everything has changed, But my favorite watches of the new Rolex 2020/2021 catalog are these. This is the new Oyster Perpetual collection. Two major things happened here. One, the colors. This is obvious. I adore these colors. For what they are, objectively, I think that Rolex actually picked out some very, very good colors, and I'll talk about some of my favorites in a second, but really what they represent. I'm old enough to remember. I'm actually not old enough to remember. I'm actually not old, but I've been in watches and I've been in vintage watches long enough to know how much fun Rolex used to have up and down the line, whether it was the creativity in their Milgauss, right, to their Stella dials and to their different details in their Submariners, honeycomb dials, all these different things. Rolex used to be a little bit more whimsical. And while they still do some colors, they had the Daytona in green, and they released some anniversary day-dates a couple of years ago in some nice colors. It's still not to the level that it once was. And everyone's been long awaiting the reintroduction of the Stella. And this certainly isn't the reintroduction of the Stella, but it's in the same kind of vein here. It's the Stella kind of in OP. They're fun, they're beautiful, they're definitely very summertime, but they can absolutely be worn all year round. Listen, everyone's a critic. I'm sure that some of these colors don't resonate with all of you. I can't say that I would personally go out and buy the pink. It's just not for me. But I think that the green, the yellow, and the red are stunning. They're different. They're individual. That's how I've always looked at watches and clothing, though, right? It's this journey to be individual, to figure out what really makes you tick. Stupid joke, but it's the truth. Right? And I think that when you have truly individual offerings, things that are unique and with personality, the odds are it's going to just hit someone on a more personal level. I bet that these watches will resonate with their owners, not to start a fight here, but maybe even more than a lot of Submariners do with their owners. I love the Submariner. It's a great watch, but it can be generic. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if your opinion differs from mine, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. But I don't mean this maliciously. I just think that when things are bolder and they appeal to fewer people, they really do appeal to those people, though. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's one of the reasons why I love vintage watches. There's so much detail and there's so much extra that can put people off. But for the people that love it, they love it so deeply and madly. The second big change here is to the size offerings. Rolex discontinued the 39mm OP. I personally think this is a mistake. They pushed it up to a 41. I don't know why they couldn't have just introduced the 41 and kept the 39, or even reduced the 39 to a 38.5, or I think it's a mistake. I love 36, but 36 is too small for a lot of people, and 41 is way too big for a lot of people. I would never buy the 41mm OP. It's just not for me. I definitely see the purpose of it. I definitely understand that Rolex did their research and found out that this worked. But as far as my understanding of the last couple of years of OP, The 39 was a wild success. So I am absolutely confused by this. I'm a little bothered by it. It's a shame. They also discontinued the white Oyster Perpetual, which I think was a mistake. That was a beautiful dial and an extremely versatile watch. But hey, they can't do everything right for everybody. We all have different opinions, and Rolex is doing their best to be, concise and now, for the first time, maybe in a little while, quite creative. With great new energy. So I'm excited by all of this. I'm really looking forward to seeing these watches on the street. They're already in the boutiques, so you can go to your local Rolex AD. I know my Rolex AD is. I'm actually looking forward to seeing these watches on the streets. They're already in the boutiques, and I'm sure that they will be, out at restaurants and wherever in the next, week. I'm sure there are some very lucky new owners already. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you liked it, please go ahead and like it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel at Theo and Harris and sign up down below, because we're giving away a Rolex at 100,000 subs, and I want you to win it. So sign up, seriously, now.